Oh, you yeah. You're worthy of all the praise. I give you my worship. Teach us to walk in your way. I give you my worship. Give you my worship. 'Cause you deserve it. I give you my worship. I give you my worship. 'Cause you deserve it. Yeah. Is told, showing mercy to the thousands that love. And I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. Yeah. I give you my worship. Out before your throne, I give you my worship, my worship, my worship. I give you my worship. Out before your throne, I give you my worship, my worship, my worship, my worship. Path of a worshiper. It was rough for me most days. It was chilly them dark nights. Prayer, fasting, and supplication. Young Brew trying to find a light. God's word is the guiding light. Straight and narrow, keep me from swerving. Second chance on that grace and mercy that endures forever. I don't deserve it. I am on this path to worship. Out the darkness into his brilliance. Y'all don't know I war with demons. This walk is not for the squeamish. In season and out of season. And move now, I move mountains. Out up in the secret place. Cause I know I'd be lost without him. The wicked walk on every side. Sometimes I feel so surrounded. I fall to my knees and pray. I learn to weaponize my praise. Teach me to walk in your ways. You make me for your soul purpose. Create in me a clean heart on this path of worship. I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. I give you my worship, my worship. I give you my worship, my worship, my worship. I give you my worship. I give you my worship, my worship, my worship, my worship. You're worthy of all the praise. I give you my worship. Teach us to walk in your way. I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. I give you my worship, 'cause you deserve it. Yeah, it's told, showing mercy to the thousands that love. God is told, showing mercy to the thousands that love. Oh, God is told, showing mercy to the thousands that love. Thousands that love.
You're worthy of all the praise. I give you my worship. Shout out to my Emanon. Make me think I could sing. Make me think I could sing.
You can make some noise around there. I know that
Make
much.
some no joyful noise. You hear me? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hallelujah to the
That's what I am.
shalom, brother.
Shabbat shalom, brother. Aki,
Shalom, shalom, man.
my brother.
Shalom, shalom. My brother,
Put
Aki.
that put that Y on and make it personal.
Yeah, put that yod on it end. Yeah, the yod on it end. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Well, it is a beautiful Shabbat here in Missouri. Sun is out, birds is chirping, dogs is barking, heathens going about their merry way.
Everybody eating, drinking, marrying, giving the marriage. Everybody doing their own thing.
As if ain't nothing going on.
Right.
Not in this house, we rested as commanded.
To the hallelujah.
I ain't even got my microphone hooked up. I usually have my microphone, my little podcast microphone. Excuse me.
Huh?
We'll grab that here later. But yeah, man. Shabbat shalom to the brethren. What up to everybody else who may join in on this podcast? Just scrolling down the timeline. We hope you be edified, uplifted, and you learn something that you might not have known before. That you consider something that you might not have considered before.
Ain't that it?
That's it. This is Mark 67 podcast where we try to talk about the hard and unknown issues. We try to cast out demons, things that sit upon a man and a woman that go unaddressed, characteristics that go unaddressed. We try to call them out, speak on them. We are reading the book of Josephus, Wars of the Jews. One of the hard issues that's been unaddressed is a lot of these prophecies believed to be end time prophecies. Me and my brother have come to find out, as we read Josephus, a lot of these things seem to have happened already. We talk about destruction, talks about the famine and the pestilence. A lot of these things happened during the fall of Jerusalem. The grievous wound that can only be fixed by the Most High Yah seems to have occurred when we lost our Kodash city that was given to us, when we lost our temple that was given to us, our priesthood that was given to us. A lot of this stuff happened at the fall of Jerusalem. A lot of people don't know about the fall of Jerusalem because they ain't been taught, they ain't been told, and they damn sure ain't ready for themselves. So me and my brother decided to bring this before you so that you could have an understanding, and that you could see for yourself. You don't have to hear us talk about how these things have happened, but you could hear it and see it. You could read it with us, or you could go and research it and read it on your own time. But we would not that you be ignorant of these things, so that you can no longer be lied to and taught of things that have been taught for generations. What we're starting to understand is that we have been taught either lies, or we have been taught things from conjecture. Conjecture is the understanding of things from incomplete information. Assumptions came about from incomplete information. And a lot of our teachers, mores, pastors, whatever you want to call them, those of whom we get understanding from, we coming to find out a lot of them have had incomplete information. So we just come to add to it. Yeah, Abba willing. What you got for us, brother?
Man, just whatever Ab has for us, man. Whatever Ab has in Mashiach and his son, man, that's what we're gonna bring forth, man, because we following his rule, man. We following the Ruach Hamat, casting out unclean spirits, unclean thoughts, unclean things that's contrary to the word of Yah. That's what we do, and that's the reason why we do what we do. As children of true children of the Most High Yah, you know what I mean? And that's the reason why we gather, and that's the reason why we bring forth what we bring forth, man, so that it be edification for the body, to eradicate the falsehood and the lies and the ill information that we received by those that didn't care, or those that have, you had some that may have cared, but they was misinformed. And so by nature, they can only pass on the misinformation that they received. So, you know, all esteem to Yahweh for the Mashiach Yahushua in today's time, for bringing forth these truths and waking us up out of this darkness and bringing us into the marvelous light, into the kingdom of his son, man. So that's what we're doing. And we thank Yah, because it was his kindness that did that for us. You know what I mean? To bring us that, to show us that favor, to bring us the truth, man. And that we had an ear to hear and eyes to see, that we may turn to him, that we may be healed. You know what I mean? So to Yah for that. That's what I got. And it's much more coming forth as the Most High Yah seen fit to bring forth whatever he wants us to bring forth in the name of his son, the Mashiach Yahushua. Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. And you know, and reading all of this and reading Josephus and reading scripture, is something else that is occurring either knowingly or unknowingly, right? The destruction of Jerusalem is or was in y'all's heart, right? It's a punishment that he always promised. It was a punishment that was so dire, the people couldn't understand it. Like, what do you mean we ain't gonna have a temple no more? What do you mean we not gonna have Jerusalem no more? Like, the Torah, our salvation, everything was built upon this stuff. Y'all said he would dwell with us in this place. What do you mean we not gonna have it? You know? And I think if we skip past over the punishment he promised, you're doing him a disservice, right? You're trying to say it wasn't that bad, that, you know, he got something coming that's worse. You know, we need to fully understand, you know, Yah did not want to do this thing. He did not want to do it, but our wickedness forced his hand.
That's right. That's right.
So it would be so horrible that there would never be anything else like it.
Right. Let me add with you real quick, man. Let me get in there with you real quick. Don't lose your thought. But I want to also add with my Ak, man. That's what we do. We a tag team duo, man. We brothers, man, in this walk, in this battle, and brother of arms. Let me say this. Like my Ak said, I want y'all to remember that the Most High wanted to relent. Therefore, that's why he sent his prophets, his Nabim, to get the people to take, sending them to raising them up early, sending them to the people that they may to shew by turn from their wicked ways, so that he won't bring that harm that he said he was going to bring upon the people if they did wickedness. Look at Shiloh, the place where the Most High they had a place there, and he told the prophets to tell the people there. Remember, look at that. Remember how I destroyed that because of the wickedness of the people. You see what I'm saying? So that's how the Most High always moved. Because of the wickedness of the people, the Most High will destroy things, man, and take away things. That's just how it goes. Why would he reward wickedness? He don't do that. He don't get down like that. You know? So these things has always been, ever since it was a nation called Yashar being brought into their own land. So to destroy a whole system, a whole system of way of doing things with a temple and a way of worship and how these things go, and the people being in their own place, to knock that out and to wipe that out and to bring all these calamities upon the people, death, you know, major humilities, being destroyed, hung, decapitated, sawn in half, members being cut off, all these different things, and to say that something worse is to come up on the earth than all these things that have transpired, it's something to consider, man. Think about it, man. Don't get caught up in the ways of Christianity and their teachings according to their understanding of things, and thinking that something that it's going to come about something worse than that, there's something yet to come. Don't get caught up in that deception. Don't get caught up in them lies. But see, me and my brother and I are here to bring full clarity, as Yahweh give us to bring to the people, that we may see that these things has happened, you know. So it won't be no discrepancies. Go ahead, Al.
It just hit me, man. Like, he pretty much did another flood, really. But it was a secluded flood. It was to Yasharal. What the flood did was took away everything that was established and reset it. He established in Yasharal, he established 12 tribes. He established a kingship. He established a temple. He established, priesthood. And what he did with the destruction of Jerusalem was flooded that thing, man. Broke it all down. Kingship gone. At least, not gone to its entirety, but he disabled it until he could come back and set it right. That's why
and the mannerism that they knew it as.
Yeah, right. As we knew it, right? True enough, these seeds still remain. It's people still, it's Levites still in the earth. And Hamashiach embodied these things and took these things upon himself, and he still lives. So these things still live with him. The priesthood, the kingship, right? But as far as
absolutely.
As far as we understood it as a people, ain't no Levites in the earth still offering all these sacrifices. Not in Jerusalem, not in the temple. Ain't no temple. And it's like it had to be for order to come back, man. And we need to analyze these things for what it is, we say these things happen to us and it's like we put it all on the heathen. The heathen took our language. The heathen took our heritage. No, the Abba did. He said, these things I gave to you was treasures I gave to you. These fine clothes, these garments, this esteem, this authority I gave you in the earth. You didn't respect it. He said, so I took it from you. He said, the daughters of Zion are haughty. He said, I'm taking away your tinkling bracelets and your ornaments. As a nation, we were a wife to him, but we were a wife that then got haughty, that then got crazy from the treasures that he bestowed upon us. He said, I'm taking it from you. And this is what's happened to us. We can't disregard the moment in time where he took it. The fall of Jerusalem was the moment he said, I'm done with you, or I'm punishing you now. So when you go out into this world, into your desolation, right, then you're going to consider the heights that you fell from. You're going to read these stories. You're going to read about kings, about princes, about the authority you had in the earth. You're going to say, I had it good. Why am I out here in rags now? I had gold bracelets. I had the world as my footstool. Why am I so downtrodden? Why does everybody rebuke me and laugh at me now? Because I didn't treat my husband right. It was a harlot. He said, you're going to consider your ways. You're going to return back to me. And we got to know that, man. We got to know that. We got to respect that. Instead of now living in fear of it happening again. What is he going to put us away again? And we still away now. That's what the punishment is for. The punishment is a putting away. Is a punishment for previous things. What are we going to get put away for and we ain't been fully rejoined? When you think about it in these terms, it's crazy because the Christian church couldn't teach us this. You know why? Because the Christian church couldn't make us aware of our relationship to him. The church has to include itself. It can't be included. Because now you got all these people that claim to be the grafted in and all, but you don't qualify for the punishment. You ain't been put away because you ain't never had the ornaments. You ain't never had the bracelets. He never gave them to you. He gave them to us. He took them away from us. So we got to understand these things, man, and like put them into context. So now what we waiting on now, right, is for the re-giving of these things and for the complete punishment of those that wouldn't return. Okay, you wouldn't return. So now, instead of a punishment, now you done. Now you being destroyed. And now he gonna put on white robes and crowns and jewels upon the heads of those that fully return back to him. Christianity can't tell us that. They want to act as if like it's really widespread righteousness in the earth, and some man of sin is gonna come and restrict it all. No, it's been restricted. What you think you've been under? If there's been no righteous ruler to make the world righteous, to make the people righteous, which is what happens with Dawood and with all of those that came to power, that sought the Most High, that expelled wickedness from the people, there's been no one that's brought consequence. That's why the world has mourned for the return of righteousness upon the earth. So, you know, I'm sorry, man. I didn't went on a whole tangent. But yeah, my brother and I, we seek to make these things known to y'all, just to prove the case, to prove this is really a thing about, you know, our Abba's power and our Abba's might being recognized, man, because it's been dismissed. It's been misplaced. And that's doing a disservice to our Abba when you disregard what he's done. You know? And it's like, we coming to show you, we coming to read to you what happened to our people, how bad that destruction was. It said the Romans came into the city and was looking for people to kill, and they found them already dead. They went into houses looking to kill people, and his body stacked up to the ceiling. You got to understand that. You got to understand what that means. You got to understand why that was. You can't blame the heathen for them bodies already being stacked up. Dead from famine, dead from a war that was already going on. Come on, you want to get on the podcast now, man? You always want to be on my podcast. Man has joined us. Hallelujah. But anyway, we're going to get into it. You there, If you're talking, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
No, I'm here. It's the start your phone, man.
Hallelujah, man. Prayers on in here so we can get started on this thing, if you would.
Indubitably. Baruch atah Ab Yahweh, Leheinu Malakah Ha'olam. Ab Yahweh, we come to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, the one you sent. Ab Yahweh, the chief apostle. Hallelujah. Ab Yahweh, we thank you on today, on this Yom, Father Yah. We thank you. We know that you are too, and your chasacha, your love, and your hobby kindness endures forever, and we thank you for that. We thank you for redeeming us from the darkness and bringing us into the marvelous light, into the kingdom of your Son. We thank you for all these, Father Yahweh. First of all, we just want to give you a thank offering from the fruit of our lips. We want to thank you. Tudah Rabbah Yahweh. Hallelujah. Father Yahweh, we ask you, Father, that you would give us the ability to minister unto the people, Father Yahweh, that you would have us to speak on, that's according to your heart, Father Yahweh, and that the people that are your children, that they may receive the things that you have them to receive today as they hear our voice. Father Yahweh, we ask you that you would lead us and guide us into all truth and all of might, Father Yahweh, and eradicate all falsehood. Father Yahweh, by your marvelous light and by your great root, Father Yahweh, that you reign amongst us. Have your way. Let your will be done in us as it is in you, Father Yahweh. Barakatah, Bahasham, Yahushua Mashiach. Hallelujah. So be it. Hallelujah. Yes, sir.
Hallelujah. So be it. You know, something just hit me because it's on my heart to be like, this whole reading thing, it's about Yah, man, about vindicating Yah, right? I mean,
right.
True enough, he don't need us to vindicate him, right? But it's like he makes things known through men a lot of times, right? So it's like this, right? In the script it say, they have not considered the one who smote them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we consider it with men. We say we beg our oppressors to stop hitting us, to stop hurting us. We be like, stop, please, stop, right? But we're not considering it's not the heathen that smote us.
Come on with that, man. Bring that out.
It's Yah who smote us.
Come on with that, man.
And we got to ask him for relief.
Come on now.
And upon asking him, you got to consider why.
That's right. Hallelujah. That's true.
Because when you get whoopings from your parents, you say stop, you plead, and then you also say, what I did, I won't do it no more. I won't do it no more. I'm sorry.
No, you won't do it no more. Right. You better not. Yeah.
That's what we got to, that's the mindset we got to have with our Abba.
Yeah.
See, but that's no more.
That's what people see. That's the thing, though. That's why people need to consider, like you said, man. I remember a time when people used to get shot and gunned down in the streets and everything, and they walking around with signs talking about no justice, no peace, talking to their oppressors. But and you know what? They don't even know that that's a sign even against themselves, man. You are absolutely correct. No justice, no peace, no right ruling, no righteousness, no shalom. That goes for you. The reason why it's happening because you don't follow justice in regards of being obedient to the creator that made you, that bought you. That's right. You see what I'm saying? So when you do that, and then all these things, how y'all doing? And all these things happen like that, you reaching out to someone that ain't got no power over that. They servants too. They doing what they doing what they was created to do. And you reaching out to them like they gonna be able to stop it. No, you reach out to the creator. When the people cried out to the Most High Yah, he heard and then he delivered.
Cried out to
See
him.
What I'm saying?
Cried
out to him. Not to them, he cried out to them.
Egyptians quit enslaving us, quit hurting. No, Abba save us. You know?
Right. And Abba come and save. But I was gonna say real quick, another thing is this though. That's why it's good to consider to realize why these things has happened. Because when you get a full comprehension of why these things happen, it should enter into your mind, well, I'm not going to do these things that cause this to happen to me. I'm going to do different and I'm going to stay with that. You get what I'm saying? So that's why right teaching got to go forth. All this old bubble gum and sugar candy and all this old crazy stuff, you're going to be blessing the city, talking about prosperity. Man, nobody need that, bro. That stuff won't work for us, man. It works for those that got itching ears that want to feel good for the time. You know what I mean? But no, we don't need that. We need to be cured by the one that brought this womb upon us, like my ox say all the time. That's why he say, listen, if you it's a reason. I was looking at Akazak's video today. He's talking about they're gonna bring out a powerful message about the mark of the beast. Where he was speaking about having eyes to see and ears to hear. See, when the Most High spoke to the prophets who was Nab Yashayahu, what people know as Isaiah, he said, make the hearing of these people dull. That hearing they may not hear and seeing they may not see, least off of fear that they hear what they hear, because the Most High was fed up with their wickedness. For fear, at least they hear with their ears and see with their eyes and turn to me, basically, and I heal them. Because when you hear and you see, then you're going to turn and Abba is obligated to heal you. But he told him to make the hearing of their hearing dull so that they can't do that, so that they don't get healed. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is about it is having a heart that's circumcised to see with your eyes and to see with your eyes and comprehension and hear with your ears that you may know what to do and turn to the Most High Yah and be healed, man. That's what all this is about. To get the people to consider, especially those that's on the outside. Now, for those that are in, it's just a further encouragement to stay strong, keep going, keep doing, you know. But the people, we have a duty to look out for our own. Because in looking out for our own, it's like looking out for ourselves. Because if you seeing yourself out there and you was wandering around in La La Land, not knowing what's going on, you want somebody to pull you by your coattail and tell you what's happening, so you don't be out there on the loss. You get what I'm saying? Listen, so you got people out here, the Most High sending people to pull people by their coattail. Hey, listen, woo. Now it's up to you to trust that or not. Now, if you don't want to trust it, then you got to accept what's gonna happen to you. And why you gonna cry out when it happens to you? Because you, in essence, by your conversation of not trusting, by your conversation and not trusting,
That's what you wanted. So we got to make y'all sending people to make things clear, right? Make things clear. And listen, you got to know that this thing is wrapping up because of the clarity that the Most High Yah is allowing people to have to bring forth to the people. So it won't be no excuse, man. Because this is it's supposed to be a time of winding up for us to get where we need to get. So we're gonna be brought out of this thing. Supposed to be the end of our trouble. The end of Yacob's trouble. You know what I mean?
Because the truth comes out when destruction is coming. So that you can pick a side, so that you can rightfully pick a side and act accordingly.
That's how righteous Father is, man. I ain't like warning come before destruction, man. Warning come before destruction, man. Warning come before destruction, man. And then when it comes forth, you got an opportunity to choose. Now it's on you. Don't delay in your choice making. Because if you do, you don't want to be caught out here slipping. Caught with their pants down. He catch you on the time as a thief in the night. You don't know. People don't know the time. He can come tonight for you. For you, he can come right now in 20 minutes for you. That's whoever listening. For me as well. What you doing? Boom, bam. Oh, you caught you on your guard. There you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? So come on, y'all. We got to listen, and we got to have a heart of trust, a batach. We got to trust in these words and what the Most High Yah is saying in regards to keeping His commandments, His instructions according to His righteousness. Now, I'm a yield on that one. I'll go ahead.
Man, it was something had crossed my mind. I was gonna say, man, I don't know, but it's gonna be plenty. It's always plenty, man. Y'all's too, and it's always plenty things to address and plenty things to say. So we're just gonna hop right on into this thing, chapter 11, the book of Josephus, Wars of the Jews. We left off last week at chapter 10. So 1 second. All right. Herod is made procurator of all Syria. Malichus is afraid of him and takes Antipater off by poison, whereupon the tribunes of the soldiers are prevailed with to kill him. There was at this time a mighty war raised among the Romans upon the sudden and treacherous slaughter of Caesar by Cassius and Brutus, and after he had held the government free. Hold on, I need to zoom in here. All right. Oh yeah. I need to 13. All right. You're worthy of all the praise. Okay. After he had held the government for 3 years and 7 months. See, that's one of them 3.5 things. Upon this murder, there were very great agitations, and the great men were mightily at difference one with another, and everyone betook himself to that party where they had the greatest hopes of their own of advancing themselves. Accordingly, Cassius came into Syria in order to receive the forces that were at Apamia, where he procured a reconciliation between Bassus and Marcus, and the legions which were at difference with him. So he raised the siege of Apamia and took upon him the command of the army, and went about exacting tribute of the cities and demanding their money to such a degree as they were not able to bear. So he gave command that the Jews should bring in 700 talents, whereupon Antipater, out of his dread of Cassius's threats, parted the raising of this sum among his sons and among others of his acquaintance, and to be done immediately. And among them he required one Malichus, who was at enmity with him, to do his part also, which necessity forced him to do. Now Herod, in the first place, mitigated the passion of Cassius by bringing his share out of Galilee, which was 100 talents, on which account he was in the highest favor with him. And when he reproached the rest of being tardy, he was angry at the cities themselves. So he made slaves of Gophna and Emos, and two others of less note. Nay, he proceeded as if he would kill Malichus, because he had not made greater haste in exacting his tribute. But Antipater prevented the ruin of this man and the other cities, and got into Cassius's favor by bringing 100 talents immediately. However, when Cassius was gone, Malichus forgot the kindness that Antipater had done him, and laid frequent plots against him that had saved him, as making haste to get him out of the way, who was an obstacle to his wicked practices. But Antipater was so much afraid of the power and cunning of the man that he went beyond Jordan in order to get an army to guard himself against his treacherous designs. But when Malichus was caught in his plot, he put upon Antipater's sons by his impudence, for he thoroughly deluded Phasaelus, who was the guardian of Jerusalem, and Herod, who was entrusted with the weapons of war, and this by a great many excuses and oaths, and persuaded them to procure his reconciliation to his father. Thus he preserved again by Antipater, who dissuaded Marcus, the then president of Syria, from his resolution of killing Malichus on account of his attempts for innovation. Upon the war between Cassius and Brutus on one side, against the younger Caesar Augustus and Antony on the other, Cassius and Marcus got together an army out of Syria, and because Herod was likely to have a great share in providing necessaries, they then made him procurator of all Syria, and gave him an army of foot and horse. Cassius premised him also that after the war was over, he would make him king of Judea. But it so happened that the power and hopes of his son became the cause of his perdition. For as Malichus was afraid of this, he corrupted one of the king's cupbearers with money to give a poisoned potion to Antipater. So he became a sacrifice to Malichus's wickedness, and died at a feast. He was a man in other respects active in the management of affairs, and one that recovered the government to Hyrcanus, who's the high priest, and preserved it in his hands. However, Malichus, when lie was suspected of poisoning Antipater, and when the multitude was angry with him for it, denied it, and made people believe he was not guilty. He also prepared to make a greater figure and raise soldiers, for he did not suppose that Herod would be quiet, who indeed came upon him with an army presently in order to revenge his father's death. But upon hearing the advice of his brother Phasaelus not to punish him in an open manner, lest the multitudes fall into a sedition, he admitted of Malichus's apology, and professed that he cleared him of that suspicion. He also made a pompous funeral for his father. So Herod went to Samaria, which was then in a tumult, and settled the city in peace. After which, at the Pentecost festival, that is the what's that called in the Hebrew?
Shabuot.
Shabuot festival. He returned to Jerusalem, having his armed men with him. Hereupon, Hyrcanus, at the request of Malichus, who feared his reproach, forbade them to introduce foreigners to mix themselves with the people of the country while they were purifying themselves. But Herod despised the pretense and him that gave that command, and came in by night. Upon which Malichus came to him and bewailed Antipater. Herod also made him believe he admitted of his lamentations as real, although he had much ado to restrain his passion at him. However, he did himself bewail the murder of his father in his letters to Cassius, who on other accounts also hated Malichus. Cassius sent him word back that he would avenge his father's death upon him, and privately gave order to the tribunes that were under him that they should assist Herod in a righteous action he was about. And because upon the taking of Laodicea by Cassius, the men of power were gotten together from all quarters with presents and crowns in their hands. Herod allotted this time for the punishment of Malichus. When Malichus suspected that and was at Tyre, he resolved to withdraw his son privately from among the Tyrians, who was a hostage there. While he got ready to fly away into Judea, the despair he was in of escaping excited him to think of greater things, for he hoped that he would raise the nation to a revolt from the Romans. While Cassius was about the war against Antony, and that he should easily dispose Hyrcanus and get the crown for himself. Okay, let's try to figure this out, because I ain't gonna lie, I've been kind of lost of who these people are. Okay, so and because upon the taking of Laodicea by Cassius, okay, the time for the punishment of Malichus. Malichus suspected that Tyre resolved to withdraw his son privately from among the Tyrians hostage while he get ready to fly away into Judea. Okay, so Malichus is Yahudim, right? He's a high-ranking Yahudim. I don't know if he's the captain of the host. Is he a governor or what? But he's a person that desired to raise a revolt against the Romans, to get the people out from under the hand of the Romans. Now we have Cassius, which I think is the brother of Malichus. Right up. Hold on, let's see. In his letters to Cassius, who on other accounts also hated Malichus. So Cassius and Malichus beefing. But we know that Malichus is a leader, one of the leaders of the Yahudim. Cassius sent him word back that he would avenge his father's death upon him. Okay. They're not brothers. Because Cassius thinks Malichus had his father killed. Cassius' father is Antipater, right? Because up here we see Antipater was poisoned. Okay, right here. Malichus was suspected of poisoning Antipater. He's suspected by Cassius of poisoning him. But let's see who is the actual person who poisoned him. Okay, so apparently Antipater at one time looked out for Malchus, as it says right here. It says Malchus forgot the kindness Antipater had done him and laid frequent plots against him that had saved him. So he had been trying to kill him. Antipater was worried about Malchus, right? Okay. All right. So, you know, just as an outline, I'm trying to put the people in context. The Romans had a beef in Rome. Okay, the Caesar of Rome got poisoned, right, or killed, right? The sudden treacherous slaughter of Caesar by Cassius and Brutus, right? This is Julius, I'm guessing, right? Because Brutus stabbed him in the back, right? And he held the government for 3 years and 7 months. Upon his murder were great agitations. Okay, according to Cassius, came into Syria in order to receive forces. So Rome had a war going on in them. So in their war, they used people from, you know, Jews, right? You got Herod, who's half Jew, half Edomite. You got Antipater, whose son is Cassius. I forgot how Malchus plays a role in it. I want to say that Herod had 2 sons, right? Who is Herod's sons?
I don't remember the name, Mark, but we one of them died. Remember, one of them got killed wearing his what was he wearing? His army gear. Remember, and his brother. Is that? Am I correct on that?
Yeah. Phasaelus and another one. I can't think of the other one. Appoint Phasaelus to be governor of Jerusalem, and Herod, governor of Galilee, who in some time was called to answer for himself. Quartus and Hadrian is acquitted Sextus Caesar, and treacherously was killed by Bastius, is succeeded by Marcus. Antigonus Aristobulus came surprising manner the occasion of Antipater's further advancement.
Is Aristobulus one of the sons?
Who?
Or was he the high priest? Aristobulus.
Aristobulus and Antigonus is okay.
Antigonus is Aristobulus' son, but I'm talking about Aristobulus. He had a brother, right?
He did, and I think he died. No, Aristobulus' mother. Oh no, man! I ain't gonna lie. I'm a bit lost. Let's see. Antigonus, Roman, Caesar, Hyrcanus. That was a beef with Antigonus. Okay, who was Antigonus? Wanted Antigonus' boldness. Antigonus, the son of Aristobulus. Okay, Antigonus. Okay, what happened?
I can truth, man. You know, from next time, like when we bring coming forth to read this, we should also do a summary from the previous chapters of what
That was
happened
thinking
and
we
going
have.
into the next.
We should take notes.
That's
You
how it
know,
should be done, man. So it won't be no so it can be done because this is not like to the people. Those that's listening, I will listen. We read this chapter is fresh for us as well. My arc, he heard this on an audio book, but in reading it, you know, this is we new to this, just like y'all will be new to hearing this. If you never heard this, we're reading this straight out. So you know, I just wanted to bring that out, man. And but me, I want, you know, later on we'll have a chop up. I mean, you know, communication thing, man, to make this thing better so it can flow so smoothly and have some order to this thing so you know people can know what's going on. We can know what's going on.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, see, these things is all leading up to the fall of Jerusalem, and these names you hearing, these are the people in authority over the Yahudim. So we're trying to clarify the chain of events and all of this stuff, right? Because we got Hyrcanus, who is the high priest, who big boy, get out, who has, you know, a lot of sway and authority over the people, and you have Herod, who's got a good standing with the Romans, who's made the king of Samaria and all of that. Hold on a second. Um, all right. Um, all right. Let's get back into this thing. What was we at? 11-7. 11-7. Okay. And because upon the taking of Laodicea by Cassius, the men of power were gotten together from all quarters, with presents and crowns in their hands. Herod allotted this time for the punishment of Malichus. When Malichus suspected that and was at Tyre, he resolved to withdraw his son privately from among the Tyrians, who was a hostage there, while he got ready to fly away into Judea. The despair he was in of escaping excited him to think of greater things, for he hoped that he should raise the nation to a revolt from the Romans while Cassius was busy about the war against Antony, and that he should easily dispose Hyrcanus to get the crown for himself. Now, for all those tuning in, what we've learned about the Romans is that the Romans put people in power, right? They put men in power, and while these men are in power, they like to take their wives and their children to keep the men under power. It's like they'll say, okay, you our, you know, president here, but your wife and your kid is gonna stay here in Rome while you in your city. And if anything happened we don't like, we gonna kill them. You know, and we've seen this happen several times with different people who was put in power by the Romans. Their wives and children would be held captive, right? Which is what happened here with Malichus. Malichus's son is being held hostage somewhere. So he said, in escaping, right, he said, maybe I should raise a revolt against the Romans because of how they handle stuff. He don't like how they move, how they handle stuff. Hey, but fate laughed at the hopes he had. For Herod foresaw that he was so zealous about, and invited both Hyrcanus and him to supper, but calling one of the principal servants that stood by him to and sent him out, as though it were to get things ready for supper, but in reality to give notice beforehand about the plot that was laid against him. Accordingly, they called to mind what orders Cassius had given them, and went out of the city with their swords in their hands upon the seashore, where they encompassed Malichus round about and killed him with many wounds. Upon which Hyrcanus was immediately affrighted, till he swooned away and fell down at the surprise he was in. And it was with difficulty that he was recovered, when he asked who it was that had killed Malichus. And when one of the tribunes replied that it was done by the command of Cassius, then said he, Cassius had saved both me and my country by cutting off one that was laying plots against them both, whether he spake according to his own sentiments, or whether his fear was such that he was obliged to commend the action by saying so is uncertain. However, by this method Herod inflicted punishment upon Malichus. Okay, what we have here, there was a beef between Malichus and Cassius, right? So Herod, yeah. So Herod invited Hyrcanus and Malichus, while Cassius was busy about the war against Antony, and that he should easily dispose Hyrcanus to get the crown up for himself. Those about, and invited both Hyrcanus and him to supper.
Yeah, he invited them both, Cassius and Hyrcanus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he invited Cassius and Hyrcanus to dinner, and while they was at dinner, Herod told some men, I guess, who was with Cassius' men, right? He told Cassius's men that Malichus was planning to kill Cassius. So Cassius's men went out the city with their swords in their hands upon the seashore and encompassed Malichus and killed Malichus. Malichus is the same man that wanted to go to war with the Romans. Now Herod is in good with the Romans to the point to where the Romans want to make him king. So it's crazy how, you know, the good guys ended up getting rooted out, man, by the wicked. So anyway, Herod got Cassius's men to kill Malichus. It wasn't Cassius who ordered it, right? But it was his men that went upon themselves, took it upon themselves by hearing what Herod had said. They ain't come ask Cassius, you want us to kill him? No, it said, but calling one of the principal servants that stood by him to him and sent him out. You know, so dude went on his own, took swords in his hand upon himself with some other guys to encompass Malichus round about and killed him with many wounds. All right, and so now, Herod was also fearful of Malichus because he's a smart man, he's a wise man or whatever. So now you got in play, you got Herod and Hyrcanus and Cassius now. All right, we got chapter 12.
I just wanted to bring out too also up there where Ian said where it's specified that by this method Herod inflicted punishment upon Malchus. So let it be known that, you know, Herod is the one that did this thing by a cunning manner. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
To get Malchus knocked off.
And you know, if Malchus had gotten into a higher power, a higher level of power, and got Herod out the way and Cassius out the way, then he would have led the people against Rome. But now it's like Herod is strengthening Rome's hand, man, which is the same thing we have today. We got people trying to get in the good graces of the heathen instead of building up their own people.
So in a way, Malchus was more like a Malcolm X, and Herod was more like a Martin Luther King.
Right.
In a way.
In a way.
Yeah. All right, chapter 12. It's me.
Yep.
All right, Phasaelus is too hard for Felix. Herod also overcomes antagonists in battle. Why I say rattle? Okay. And the Yahudim accuse both Herod and Phasaelus. Both Antonius acquits them and makes them Tartarus. How you say that? Tetrarchs? Whatever that means. Tetrarchs. When Cassius was gone out of Syria, another sedition arose at Jerusalem, wherein Felix.
See, I don't even know Felix. Where Felix come from?
I'm sure they're gonna probably explain who Felix is as we read.
Roman or what? Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Assaulted Phasaelus with an army that he might revenge the death of Malchus upon Herod by falling upon his brother. Now Herod happened then to be with Fabius, the governor of Damascus, and as he was going to his brother's assistance, he was detained by sickness. In the meantime, Phasaelus was by himself too hard for Felix, and reproached Hyrcanus on account of his ingratitude, both for what assistance he had afforded Malchus, and for overlooking Malchus' brother when he possessed himself of the fortresses. For he had gotten a great many of them already, and among them the strongest of them all, Masada. Masada, that fortress, that was the strongest fortress. Too. However, nothing could be sufficient for him against the force of Herod, who, as soon as he was recovered, took the other fortresses again and drove him out of Masada in the posture of a supplicant. He also drove away Marion, the tyrant of the Tyrians, out of Galilee, when he had already possessed himself of 3 fortified places. But as to those Tyrians whom he had caught, he preserved them all alive. Nay, some of them he gave presents to, and so sent them away, and thereby procured goodwill to himself from the city and hatred to the tyrant. Marion had indeed obtained the tyrannical power of Cassius, who set tyrants over all Syria, and out of hatred to Herod it was that he assisted Antagonists, the son of Aristobulus, and principally on Fabius' account, whom Antagonist had made his assistant by money, and had him accordingly on the side when he made his descent. But it was Ptolemy, the kinsman of Antagonist, that supplied all that he wanted. When Herod had fought against these in the avenues of Yehuda, he was conqueror in the battle and drove away antagonists and returned to Jerusalem, beloved by everybody for the esteemed action he had done. For those who did not before favor him did join themselves to him now, because of his marriage into the family of Hyrcanus. For as he had formerly married a wife out of his own country of no ignoble blood, who was called Doris, whom he begot Antipater. Okay, so did he now marry Marimain, the daughter of Alexander, the son of Aristobulus, and the granddaughter of Hyrcanus, and was become thereby a relation to the king, or of the king. Excuse me. But when Caesar and Antony, had slain Cassius near Philippi, and Caesar was gone to Italy, and Antony to Asia, amongst the rest of the cities which sent ambassadors to Antony until Bithynia, the great man of the Yahudim came also, and accused Phasaelus and Herod that they kept the government by force, and that Hyrcanus had no more than an honorable name. Herod appeared ready to answer this accusation, and having made Antony his friend by the large sums of money which he gave him, he brought him to such a temper as not to hear the others speak against him, and thus did they part at this time. However, after this, they came 100 of the principal men among the Yahudim to Daphne by Antioch and to Antony, who was already in Ahab with Cleopatra to the degree of slavery. These Yahudi put those men that were the most potent, both in dignity and eloquence, foremost, and accused the brethren. But Messala opposed them and defended the brethren, and that while Hyrcanus stood by him on account of his relation to them. When Antony had heard both sides, he asked Hyrcanus which party was the fittest to govern, who replied to Herod and his party were the fittest. Antony was glad of that answer, for he had been formerly treated in an hospitable and obliged manner by his father Antipater. When he marched into Yehuda with Gabanus, so he constituted the brethren Tetrarchs and committed to them the government of Yehuda. But when the ambassador had indignation at the procedure, Antonia took 15 of them and put them into custody, whom he was also going to kill presently, and the rest he drove away with disfavor. On which occasion a still greater tumult arose in Jerusalem. So they sent again 1,000 ambassadors to Tyre, where Antony now abode, as he was marching to Jerusalem. Upon those men who made a clamor, he sent out the governor of Tyre and ordered him to punish all that he could catch of them, and to settle those in the administration whom he had made tetrarchs. But before this, Herod and Hyrcanus went up upon the seashore and earnestly desired of these ambassadors that they would neither bring ruin upon themselves nor war upon their native country by their rash contentions. And when they grew still more outrageous, Antony sent out armed men and slew a great many and wounded more of them, of whom those that were slain were buried by Hyrcanus, as where the wounded put under their care of physicians by him, yet would not those that had escaped be quiet still, but put the affairs of the city into such disorder, and so provoked Antony that he slew those whom he had in bonds also. So he wasn't even going to kill them; he just put them in bonds. But they did such a disorder that they provoked him and he killed them.
Yeah. It's a lot went on right there, man. A lot went on right there. Apparently Cassius then got knocked off because you had Cassius beefing with Malichus. Herod got Cassius's people to kill Malichus, and now Caesar and Antony from Rome then got Cassius killed. It don't even say why they got him killed. It just Cassius is dead now. So now you only got Herod. You got Herod and Hyrcanus left. And apparently Herod and Hyrcanus had some kind of beef with the people of Tyre. No, out of hatred, Herod, it was that he assisted Antigonus, son of Aristobulus, principally on Fabius's account. Antigonus, right? See, man, Josephus be having 20 things going on in one sentence. I'm talking about he is the king of run-on sentences. Because this sentence start way up here. This thing start way up here at Marion and go all the way down here. One sentence. Marion had indeed obtained that tyrannical power of Cassius, who set tyrants over all Syria. Fabius. Okay, Herod had fought against these avenues in Judea, conquered the battle, drove away Antigonus. Okay, so Herod and Antigonus had a beef. It's a lot going on, man. So all of this stuff is what you know, is going on pre-Hamashiach, or like in his early years when he's a child. Jerusalem is going through all these battles, all these wars, and all the way up until now, we've been reading you wars and wars and wars, wars with the Greeks, wars with the Romans, Romans against the Greeks. But you have to think, every time it's a war going on with these countries, they calling our people to help in these wars. They need soldiers, they call on our people to help fight. Even if it ain't got anything to do with our people, they still using our people, because it's like, that's what happens when you come into covenant or come into subjection with these other nations. You forced to do stuff that you wouldn't otherwise do. So these people you reading about, right, is people put into power by the Romans once the Romans came into power. Read about Hyrcanus, reading about Herod, reading about, you know, Cassius and all these people. All these people are placed in power. All right, chapter 13. The Carthaginians bring Antigonus back into Yehuda and cast Hyrcanus and Phasaelus into prison. The flight of Herod and the taking of Jerusalem, and what Hyrcanus and Phasaelus suffered. Now, 2 years afterwards, when y'all have to excuse us too, man, with these names, man, these Roman names, Gentile names, this stuff is rough, man. When Barzapharnes, a governor among the Parthians, and Peorus, the king's son, I don't know if it's Herod's son or what, had possessed themselves of Syria. When Lysanias had already succeeded upon the death of his father Ptolemy, the son of Menneus, in the government of Chalcis, he prevailed with the governor by a promise of 1,000 talents and 500 women to bring back Antigonus to his kingdom and to turn Hyrcanus out of it. Okay, death of his father Ptolemy, the son of Menneus. Okay, we're talking about right now. We're talking about Peorus, who is the king's son. The king of Syria right now is Herod, I believe. So this is probably Herod's son. So Herod's son promised 1,000 talents and 500 women. No, or he's been promised. He's been promised by Herod, I'm guessing, that if he bring back Antigonus to his kingdom and get Hyrcanus out of it, who's the high priest and the king. I don't know. It's different kings and it's all kind of stuff going on. Okay. Pacorus is this right here. So here it's a Peorus. It should be Pacorus because it's the same as this right here. Okay, so you got this Pacorus guy who's been promised 1,000 talents, 500 women, if he bring Antigonus back, put him back into power, and to get Hyrcanus out of it. So Hyrcanus got the power, Antigonus wanted, and Antigonus promised Pacorus that if he do it, then he will give him the talents and the women. Okay, here we go. Pacorus was by these means induced so to do, and marched along the seacoast, while he ordered Barzapharnes to fall upon the Yehudi as he went along the Mediterranean part of the country. But of the maritime people, the Tyrians would not receive Pacorus, although those of Ptolemaeus and Sidon had received him. So he committed a troop of his horse to a certain cupbearer belonging to the royal family of his own name, Pacorus, and gave him orders to march into Judea in order to learn the state of affairs among their enemies, and to help Antigonus when he should want his assistance. Okay, so it's kings of different places. You got a king of Syria, you got a king of Judea, you got governors of different places, governor of Tyre, governor of, Parthia, right? You got all these different offices. It's not just one or two, it's many. And it's hard to kind of keep all of this stuff in context. So Abba willing, me and my brother will go back over these before we bring you more chapters and create a timeline of offices and who's in it and what's going on, right? Because we need to make some sense of this stuff before we get into, Titus and all of that, because all of that is down the line, right? This is all building up to that. All right. 2. Now, as these men were ravaging Carmel, many of the Yehudi ran together to Antigonus and showed themselves ready to make an incursion into the country. So he sent them before into that place called Drymus, the woodland, to seize upon the place, whereupon a battle was fought between them. And they drove the enemy away and pursued them and ran after them as far as Jerusalem. And as their numbers increased, they proceeded as far as the king's palace. But as Hyrcanus and Phasaelus received them with a strong body of men, there happened a battle in the marketplace, in which Herod's party beat the enemy and shut them up in the temple, and set 60 men in the houses adjoining as a guard to them. But the people that were tumultuous against the brethren came in and burnt those men, while Herod, in his rage for killing them, attacked and slew many of the people, till one party made incursions on the other by turns, day by day. In the way of ambushes and slaughters were made continually among them. So here we see, even within our city, we see wars being fought. We're seeing killings being done in Jerusalem around the temple, right, by different people in authority in Jerusalem. We have Herod, causing destruction, in Jerusalem around the temple. Now, when the festival, which we call Pentecost, was at hand, all the places about the temple and the whole city was full of a multitude of people that were come out of the country, and which were the greatest part of them armed also. They came with weapons. They came to the feast. They came strapped up, though. At which time Phasaelus is guarded the wall, and Herod with a few guarded the royal palace. And when he made an assault upon his enemies as they were out of their ranks on the north quarter of the city, he slew a very great number of them and put them all to flight. And some of them he shut up within the city, and others within the outward rampart. In the meantime, Antigonus desired that Pacorus might be admitted to be a reconciler between them, and Phasaelus was prevailed upon to admit the Parthian into the city. Antigonus desired that Pacorus might be admitted. Okay, so Pacorus is a Parthian, right? Antigonus wanted Pacorus in to be a mediator between Phasaelus and Herod, apparently, right? Phasaelus and Herod fight. Antigonus apparently is over them. He wants Pacorus to come in to make the peace, to admit the Parthian into the city with 500 horses, and to treat him as an hospitable manner, who pretended that he came to quell the tumult, but in reality he came to assist Antigonus. Okay. Yeah, Antigonus. Okay, my bad. Antigonus and Phasaelus is going at it. I don't know where Herod come from. Antigonus desired that Pacorus might be admitted to be a reconciler between them. All right. But in reality came to assist Antigonus. However, he laid a plot for Phasaelus and persuaded him to go as an ambassador to Barzapharnes in order to put an end to the war, although Herod was very earnest with him to the contrary and exhorted him to kill the plotter, but not expose himself to the snares he had laid for him, because the barbarians are naturally perfidious. However, Pacorus went out and took Hyrcanus with him, that he might be the less suspected. He also left some of the horsemen called the freemen with Herod, and conducted Phasaelus with the rest. But now, when they were come to Galilee, they found that the people of that country had revolted and were in arms, who came very cunningly to their leader and besought him to conceal his treacherous intentions by an obliging behavior to them. Accordingly, he at first made them presents, and afterwards, as they went away, laid ambushes for them. And when they were come to one of the maritime cities called Ecdipon, they perceived that a plot was laid for them, for they were informed of the promise of 1,000 talents, and now Antigonus had devoted the greatest number of the women that were there with them among the 500 to the Parthians. They also perceived that an ambush was also laid for them by the barbarians in the nighttime. They had also been seized on before this, unless they had waited for the seizure of Herod first at Jerusalem, because if he were once informed of this treachery of theirs, he would take care of himself. Nor was this a mere report, but they saw the guards already not far off from them. Man, it's a lot going on. Nor would Phasaelus think of forsaking Hyrcanus and flying away, although Ophelius earnestly persuaded him to it. For this man had learned the whole scheme of the plot from Saramala, the riches of all the Syrians. But Phasaelus went up to the Parphilian governor and reproached him to his face for laying the treacherous plot against them, and chiefly because he had done it for money, and he promised him that he would give him more money for their preservation than Antigonus had promised to give for the king. But the sly Parthian endeavored to remove all this suspicion by apologies and by oaths, and then went to the other Pacorus, immediately after which those Parthians who were left and had in the charge seized upon Phasaelus and Hyrcanus, who could do no more than curse their perfidiousness and their perjury. In the meantime, the cupbearer was sent and laid a plot how to seize upon Herod by deluding him and getting him out of the city, as he was commanded to do. But Herod suspected the barbarians from the beginning, and having then received intelligence that a messenger who was to bring him the letters that informed him of the treachery intended had fallen among the enemy, he would not go out of the city, though Pacorus said very positively that he ought to go out and meet the messengers that brought the letters for that the enemy had not taken them, and that the contents of them were not accounts of any plots upon them, but of what Phasaelus had done. Yet he had heard from the others that his brother was seized, and Alexandra, the shrewdest woman in the world, Hyrcanus's daughter, okay, begged of him that he would not go out, nor trust himself to those barbarians who now were come to make an attempt upon him openly. Now, as Pacorus and his friends were considering how, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
man, what you think about this? I feel like we should kind of get to the crux of the matter. Get to the Titus and the the coming in on the city, man. If not now, on the next video, like let's go during this week and get a timeline, get a whole thing of the offices and who's who, who's what, where they come from, who they are, right? Up until the time of the siege, right? And then start reading about the siege from there, man. Because a lot of this stuff, man, is just, it's a lot, man.
Right, that'll be doing it decent and orderly for the civil. It's not like the same like when you come with the scriptures, because we be studying the scriptures and be into the scriptures and know what we read and know what we got, and y'all give us revelation on it. This is we just giving it to them as we getting it, just reading it, going forth, and got to be a breakdown. So yeah, that'll make more sense to go over it first, make sure we read it ourselves as well, man, and get everything in its right perspective with people, officers, and all this old stuff, so that when we do present it, we can present it right.
Right. I like to say, to the people, man, I had listened to this on audiobook, right? But when you listening to it and you going through and you reading it, because I was doing things in the course of hearing it, so I'm not hearing everything piece by piece, right? So it's different when you reading it and getting every word. Like these words, they crazy to read. Josephus is touching on a million things in one sentence. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. And so I didn't know the magnitude of this. Like my brother said, we getting it as you getting it, and it's a lot, man. It is a lot. So what we're gonna do is, Abba willing, throughout the week, I'll be in contact with my brother. We're gonna go back over this stuff, start from chapter 1, and get these names and the offices and get stuff wrote down, right? In hindsight, it'd have been nice if we had done this while reading it to you, but we just been reading as y'all been hearing, right? But get a timeline going, get names wrote down to know, because now we having to go back and read and see who is what, because it's a million names in one chapter. He's gonna talk about 6 or 7 names, then he's gonna add in new names, then he's gonna go the next chapter and talk about old names, then he's gonna add some more names, like Alexandra. We hadn't heard about Alexander for about 3-4 chapters, but now he done brought her back into play with Hyrcanus. And it's just a lot, man. It's just a lot. So, like Mark said, to be in decency and order, we want to get these things narrowed down and wrote down and bring them to you so you can see in real time, to have a summary of these things, right? And then we're going to skip all of this, because all of this is a build-up, okay? We're doing this to show you the magnitude of what happened at the fall. Now, mind you, all of this is important to show you that we haven't really had a time of peace. From the time of the Greeks up until the changing over, it's been wars. War. So it was war before Hamashiach. So when he tells you that in the future there'll be wars and rumors of wars It shouldn't have been a surprise. There's been wars and rumors of wars. So, you know, we gonna wrap this up right here. And me and my brother gonna be in talks and in studies to bring you a more potent presentation, man. Because just reading this thing, that's like saying we gonna read the whole Bible to you. You know, it's like, come on. Some of that stuff you got to do for yourself, and then we can go back over and touch some here and touch some there. You talking about reading the whole thing? You're gonna need a couple months of your time. So, but yeah, you got anything else to add on that? If you're talking, can't hear you. You're muted.
Nah, this phone be acting up. I was trying to unmute. I don't have nothing to say, man. I mean, that's well said, man. We just got to put this stuff together, man, and bring it. When we bring it right, bring it correct. You know, that's it. So you said it all. You said it all, man.
Yeah, man. Salakia, man. For we didn't realize how crazy it is till you get into it, man, and all these names and the jumping and all this. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I didn't know, because on audio it all sound kind of put together, right? I didn't know the distance in between. Like we ain't even got to like the actual fall yet. All of this is leading up to it. We've been reading about wars since chapter 1. First, it started with the Greeks. What old boy name was, man, that had the pig in the altar from the Greeks. What's his name? It started with an A too.
Shoot.
It ain't Antigonus or none of them. It's
it was with Antigonus, man.
Let's go to Maccabees, man. It's right there in chapter 1.
I know it got like an anti something.
Yeah, it is.
Whoever he is anti-Mashiach.
He's definitely anti-Mashiach. Maccabees, first Maccabees. All right. Where you at, boy? Antiochus. Antiochus Epiphanes.
Yeah, Antiochus Epiphanes. That's it, Antiochus.
Yeah. So Josephus start way from there, man. And it's just war after war after war after war. You know, until the Romans take over, and it's still been war after war after war after war. So yeah, man, that's what it is. We finna, we'll call it a thing, man. May Abba Yah, excuse his servants, but we will make up for it, and Abba willing, next Shabbat when we come before you, it'll be more refined and more potent, So, hallelujah, man.
Say a Palau. Lead us out on a Palau today.
All right. Barak Yahuwah, Todah, Rabbah, for this day that you've given us, for the mind and the ability that you have given us to observe your Shabbat as best as we understand it and know how. In times where many are concerned with their own selves, many are concerned with their own deeds. Today and daily, we are concerned with you and your word and the things that you would have us do. Be with your children. Be with your servants. Forgive your servants if we have done anything that's not of you, and that is not a good portrayal of you. We ask for your forgiveness and your kindness. We ask for your power to be given to us and your understanding to be given to us, that we can be a light to the darkness, that we can be strength to the weak and help to the needy. We pray for the healing of the sick, the strengthening of the weak, and the freeing of the slaves. And we pray that all the things that we do help to aid in that, to heal the sick, to strengthen the weak, and to free the slaves. Forgive your servants for any misdeeds, for any miswords spoken. Baruch us greatly and mightily. Show us the esteem of your Son, of your salvation. And all these things we do in his name and to your esteem and to your power and might. Barak Yahuwah. So be it. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And you know, join us next time, Mark 6-7 podcast. As always, it's 12 tribes.
One nation.
Hallelujah.